Hello, 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 hello. I am so excited to be here tonight for the second annual Coffee and Tea Chat with these amazing women. This is going to be just so exciting. So, just a little bit about what this event is all about. So, if you follow me, then you know that last year we did our first annual one during March, of course, which is Women's History Month. And with the work that I do in My Natural Me, we're always talking about coaching and empowering and, the various challenges that we face as women. But I wanted to do something very special. I wanted to get ladies together, have some coffee and tea, and just celebrate our accomplishments, our legacies, our journey. So I am super excited. It was amazing last year, and I know it's going to be amazing again this year. So I'm going to jump right on into this conversation, and I'm going to start welcoming the ladies on the panel for tonight. So I'm going to start with Alethea. Now, as you all know, if you see me, my pivotal moments, anything, I don't do bios. I let everyone say who they are and what they do. So Alethea, tell us who you are. And then, of course, it's coffee and tea. So let us know what you're drinking. Welcome, Alethea.
Hello, Lita. Thank you for having me. And hello, all the queens on the call and those watching through Facebook. It's so awesome to share this space with you. I feel the light coming through the screen. I really do. And I love you for it. I love you all for being here. So what am I drinking? Oh, goodness, I have it on blur. Can you see it? Can you see it? Wait a minute. Okay, my daughter's probably going to have to come out and help me. Wait, let me get this right because she got to get a shout out. This is from our homegirl, Brittany. I knew I could, so I did. And this is my favorite cup. And so I'm drinking a green smoothie right now. So
yeah, I love it.
Quack. She waxed. Yeah, I'm drinking the green smoothie right now. Yeah. But again, thank you for having me, Lita. As you said, my name is Alethea Gay. I'm founder of Alexander Q Health and Wellness. And Alexander Q Health and Wellness, I want to start from the very beginning because I never hardly mentioned this, but it's named after my uncle, Lawrence Alexander Gay. And Lawrence Alexander Gay, he was gay, and he died at the age of 26 from AIDS. And I started this company for him because he had so much flair, so much style, and just lived life to its fullest. You didn't have to guess what was on his mind. He just said it whether you wanted to hear it or not. And the most stylish person, but not just stylish in the way that he dressed, but how he built his relationships, how he helped care for us. So my young uncle was helping care for his nieces in his teens. And I just thought to carry on his legacy, why not call it Alexander Q? And so Alexander Q Health and Wellness is a holistic approach. If you heard my story before, if not, I'll explain it again. I don't mind. My mother, 3-time cancer survivor. And I remember walking in the house one day and seeing her exercise. And I'm sitting, at first I'm laughing, eating my McDonald's. But then after a few times, I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's like, you know how that cancer went away? It's this right here. It's this moment. It's doing this. It's exercising. It's showing up for me. It's being consistent. And it's praying. And so at that point, I learned that health and wellness is not just about exercise. It's not just about eating. It's not even about how much you know, but it's taking all of that, putting all that together and having it operate as one member, as one body. Today, Alexander Q, we give health and wellness coaching online. We offer virtual kick butt classes. Monique knows about that. Andrea, I have some awesome clients on the call, former clients. And it involves meditation. It's yoga. I'm a yoga instructor. It's personal training. It's small group fitness. And in the end, just bringing your personal best, whatever that is. So thank you for having me, sis.
Welcome and thank you so much. Of course, I can just vouch for everything that Alethea said and just, I'll say former client. even though I'm working my way back. But Alethea, you are just amazing and awesome. And anyone who is watching, Alethea, like she said, it's not just about making sure that your body is right, but really getting to the root of the matter. So I love that. I'm sure you'll talk even more about that as we go on. So I'm going to move right along. Next on my screen is Miss Leslie of Brown Girls Embrace. Welcome, Leslie. What are you drinking?
Hey,
And tell us about yourself.
oh, I'm drinking some wine in my cup, my Brown Girls Embrace cup. I'm sorry, I didn't get to tea or coffee tonight, but I have some wine in my cup.
I love it.
So I'm Leslie from Brown Girls Embrace, and my community is about self-love and self-awareness. And it's a community for women to embrace self-confidence. We know a lot of times we lack self-confidence and self-love. So it's a self-love, self-confidence community, and it's all about motivating women. And I also do a live on Wednesdays called the Queen's Talk. And it's to honor and celebrate women. So I'm happy to be in this chat tonight because we're honoring and celebrating other women who are entrepreneurs as well.
I love it. I love it. And again, I just have to say, I feel like Leslie is like my little sister. And I just am so proud of you, and watching you grow and the amazing things that you are doing for Brown Girls is just awesome. So I'm so glad to have you as part of the panel. I know this is going to be an enjoyable conversation. All right, next up, my girl, Miss Austria. What are you drinking? And tell us about yourself.
Hello. Good evening, everybody. So I'm drinking out of my mug. This mug says that's not part of my self-care. So you could purchase that on austriamilan.com. Thank you so much. But I'm drinking some some ginger lemon tea. I made it cold because, you know, the weather is acting like it's summertime out here, and I'm hot inside the house right now, but I'm not going to turn on the AC. So I'm Austria Henderson, and you know, I struggle with trying to talk about who I am and what I do, right? I asked my children, how would they describe me? And they said, I'm a perfectionist, I'm nice, I'm determined, I'm helpful, I think ahead, and I'm experienced. So that's who I am. But a little more about me. I'm very passionate about people and culture. And I love to build conversations and community through networking with other people. A little more, I am a celebrity makeup artist, an image consultant, and I'm building a fashion house online at austriamilan.com. I'm like, how am I going to go after Alethea and Leslie? And I mean, just the way they spoke about themselves. Oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. But to touch on Austria Milan, Alethea actually reminded me why I named it that. Well, my first name is Austria. Milan is not in my name anywhere, but it was going to be my name. And my mother has mentioned it for so long. I'm like, well, I should make that part of my legacy. So I don't have a daughter, so that's my daughter, Austria Milan.
I love it.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Look, if I were to start really talking about my girl Austria, would be here all night, because that is my girl. I'm so glad to have you. Oh my goodness. Okay, next up, really, I could say all of y'all are my sisters. So I don't know why I keep being like, this one is my sister, because really all of y'all. Next up is Miss Vanessa of Gentara. I am so glad to have you here. What are you drinking? And
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I am drinking out of this cup that one of my clients gifted to me. It's a Gentara cup that has me on a better day on here. I am drinking peach green tea. I need everything to make everything feel better, and this is usually my go-to when I need it. I apologize if my voice is a little off. There's a reason for the green tea today. But just a brief intro. My name is Vanessa Holloway. I am the owner and founder of Gentara LLC. We specialize in plant-based body care, wellness, and much, much more. One of our missions is promoting the use of plant-based products into your everyday life, and doing so in an effort to promote self-care by improving your emotional, physical, and mental well-being. You ladies look so wonderful today. Thank you for allowing me to be part of this panel today.
Oh, and I'm going to share, even though Vanessa kind of touched on it. Vanessa has been under the weather. She is an amazing mom, and of course the baby's got it, and of course mom gets it. So I am honored that Vanessa, you still are making time to be a part of this. And as I mentioned before we got on, if you have to go at any time, we understand because this
Thank
is
you. I
real
appreciate
life.
you guys.
All right. And last but certainly not least, one of my newest adopted sisters that I have met and had the honor and pleasure of getting to know, Miss Beautiful Amara. Welcome. Tell us what you're drinking and tell us about yourself.
Hey, good evening, ladies. My name is Amara Graham, formerly Charles. It's such a great honor, a great privilege to be with you all today. Lita, I love you. Thank you so much for allowing me the opportunity of being on this panel with these amazing queens. A little bit about myself. So I am Miss Curvey Virginia Globe. I am in a beauty pageant, and I'm so excited for the opportunity to represent God in the beauty pageant industry. So yes, Miss Curvey Virginia Globe, 2022. I am running for Miss Curvey US of A. The pageant takes place at the end of May, so please vote for me, pray for me. Just pray that God shows up in a way that only He can through me. And I also I'm the CEO of Graceful Lashes and Beauty LLC right here in Stafford, Virginia, where I specialize in empowering women and helping them to accentuate their natural beauty by adding some, lashes. So I'm all about that lash life. I love just the beauty that God has given us as women, and I help us to embrace that, but then I can just accentuate it and also make them feel good. I'm all about uplifting women, all about inspiring women, encouraging women. And so here I am. I'm here to just share with you all. I'm so excited again. So thank you.
And I am so honored because, again, when Amara says about uplifting women, like she's not even joking. Like every single interaction, from her being on my show to being at events together, literally every single interaction, comments on social media, is nothing but positive and uplifting. So I just salute you. And of course, I know you got this, girl. So
Thank you so much.
super excited. And I said last but not least, but I guess I was forgetting myself. Someone sent me a message like, what about you? So of course, if you don't know already, I am Lolita Harlem. I am the founder of My Natural Me. And basically, my mission is to help women learn how to speak to themselves in a healing way so that we can show up for ourselves and others. And if you follow me, you know that I go by the acronym of HER, which is Honor, Empower, and Refresh. And that truly is every single thing I do, from the books to my podcast to events, workshops. Everything is geared to helping women feel honored, empowered, and refreshed. So I am excited to be here. We are going to get into this conversation. So, of course, we talked about it being Women's History Month. One of the things that means is that we honor those that came before us, or even just people who have inspired us, right? So who wants to start off by sharing the woman, and it can be more than one if it's tied, but who has inspired you?
I can go first.
Yes, Amara.
So I would have to say it's two ladies in particular. The first would be my mother. I know that may sound common. I'm sure we are all honoring and loving our mamas, but I remember growing up and my mother, she's very bold and unapologetically. And my father is a pastor. And I remember when I decided I was going to shave my sides. So I have a mohawk. I've had a mohawk since I think it was 2007, meaning that before it was ever a thing, within the community. And I remember the conversation that was had regarding, just shaving my sides and what that would mean and how that would come across. And I remember my mother looking me in the face and saying, show up as you are. You are beautiful, you are called, called, you are chosen, and you are more than enough. And ever since I was younger, my mother has always told me, you can fake it until you make it, meaning we don't have to have a lot to show up as if we are empowered, and, showing up as if we are, as if we have it all. I mean, it's just a perspective that we have until we do acquire it, So all that said, I give honor to my mother, because had it not been for her, I probably would not have even decided to step into the beauty pageant industry, where you are paying people to judge you. You're paying people to judge what you look like and hoping that they choose you. But also beyond my mother, I would also say Oprah. And the reason why, I know, again, Oprah, everyone loves Oprah, right? But my parents are from Trinidad. They're immigrants from Trinidad and Tobago. Shout out to my Trini family. I am first generation American. And so when my parents came to this country, Black history was something that we had to learn. And obviously, as you ladies know, Black history is not something that we talk about often in school. And so I remember, sitting down 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and we would watch Oprah. And I've studied Oprah. I cannot tell you for how many years, Black History Month, I was always Oprah. And so, but I love her model of empowering people, uplifting women, giving back to the community. And so as I've thought about how I show up in the world, how I show up in this space, my goal is to build an empire that is bigger than me, but it really gives glory to God. I give honor always to God. But that said, with my parents not even being from here, my mom chose someone who I could see myself in. And although there are some differences in how we show up in this space, I love the fact that she lives a life that gives back to those that have come either behind her or those that, are in front of her and even beside her. So, I love the motto of stronger together. We rise by lifting each other. And all that said, had it not been for my mama, Miss Leslie Ann Graham, and then even for her allowing me to feel comfortable looking at someone like Oprah and feeling the courage to say, I want to be just like her, but better, for God. I don't know if I would have even, I don't know if I'd be all that I am today. So those are my queens.
I love it. That is so beautiful. So, so beautiful. And what I really like about it is that, when we're younger, sometimes we go through different challenges and struggles and everything. And sometimes we have those moments with our parents that can be a little rocky. So it's always nice when we get to that point in life, whenever that is, where we can actually say, you know what? Thank you. I know we had them teenage years got a little dicey, but thank you. Thank you. So that is awesome. I love it. All right. Who is going next? We all gonna go, right? So Austria, go ahead.
I might as well get it in now.
Right.
So I'm inspired. I have this saying, and I probably should not say it now, but I'm going to say it anyway. I am often inspired, but not easily impressed, right? So, just like Amara, my mother, of course, my grandmother, my aunts. I mean, I have a large family, and all of them individually and as a collaborative effort have inspired me to be who I am, which is a very creative person, an outspoken person, and maybe a little to the left sometimes. So to embrace, my wittiness and my awkwardness, I've always had that growing up. And also to speak up for myself. But usually I'm also inspired by everyday women. So the woman who has to wake up every day, go take care of her responsibilities.
Come on. Yes.
But likes to keep herself up and, meet with her friends and then come back home and stay up till midnight, because she has to take care of something for her family in the house. But that's usually what I'm inspired by. It's you all. Some of you I know personally, so I may know the personal challenges that you face outside of social media. I see what you post, but I don't look at it as being, oh, she's not being real. No, she is hyping herself up because she's taking care of business. The world does not always have to see when we're down, right? If we can help each other behind the scenes so that in front of everyone we look good, that's okay. So that's what really touches my heart. That's what I'm inspired by. Those behind the scenes who are going through some of the toughest challenges, things I have not faced yet, and some that I have. And just getting up and getting yourself together and snapping two snaps in a circle. That's what I'm they
I
doing
love
it.
it. I love it. I love it. I love it. Wow. See, you know what? We're not gonna get me crying today. We're not gonna do that. Okay, we're gonna move to Leslie.
I like what Audrey said. All the women here who are entrepreneurs, it's so amazing to see African American women who have their own business and are doing their own thing. Like, that's very powerful to me. And also, who else is inspires to me is Oprah. That was one person who I used to love watching her show 4 o'clock after school and turning on Oprah show and how she gave back to people. And she was just an amazing Black woman to watch growing up. So Oprah is one. And also, I interview a lot of ladies on the Queen's Talk on Wednesday nights, and they're entrepreneurs, and we celebrate them and honor them no matter what difficult situations they go through. So that's inspiring for me, and that's what keeps me pushing and keeps going. Also, the ladies who have helped me behind the scenes. I know I ask a lot of questions. I know I panic a lot. So I appreciate all the ladies who are there to answer my questions when I'm having a difficult time or I just want to give up. So those are the ladies who really inspire me.
I love it. And what I really love about you saying that is, sometimes it's been said, right, that we can't get along. We don't work well together. By we women, and then let's add being women of color. But what you're saying proves that false, right? We can support each other. We can build each other up. I love it. And you're showing that by what you do and by the people who are helping you. I absolutely love it. All right. I think I saw Vanessa. Did I see you next? All right. Who inspires you?
So mine is going to sound a little bit weird, but the person who inspires me the most is the potential of who I can be. And let me explain. As I am somebody who struggle a lot with negative self-talk, but I have a really good support system. For example, I have some of the ladies on the panel who are a great support system. My mom, she was a great support system. So they saw things about myself that I couldn't quite see clearly in the mirror. But through self-care and doing that mental work, I see this vision of who it is that I want to be, who I'm able to be. So the person who inspires me the most really is that person that I know I can potentially be. I think I'm doing great now, but I literally can see her, and every day I strive to get to that vision of being able to see that person reflect back in the mirror.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Who sees everything? Yes. I see some snaps and hands and fingers and everything. That was powerful. That was powerful. Woo. All right, Alethea.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh, wow. I mean, I'm just going to borrow all of that. When Amara first started talking, and she said her mom, and she was like, she knows everyone chooses that, but sis, I agree with you. We grew up in the home, those of us who have our mom around. And typically that is our first example of a woman, what womanhood is. In my experience, and in many others, I'm sure, I also learned that it takes a village. And when I think about growing up, yes, my mom definitely showed me that wellness is a holistic practice. But where did I learn perseverance? Where did I get my humor from? Where did I learn how to be sexy? Where did I learn how to do my hair, how to dress, put them in? These were aunties. This was my stepmom. This was my cousin's mother. When the block got hot and I needed a house or a home to go to, or my mom was in the hospital, my cousin's grandmother would send for somebody to pick me up and swoop me up and make sure I was safe and I had something to eat. My cousin would do my hair. So it was definitely a village. And throughout my life, I took on that same ideology in the sense that it's not just one person. It's unfair to put so much pressure into one person. But to find that gift in everyone and to see that. Now, have I always been like, oh, I love the gift I see in her? Austria, you said something earlier about seeing people on social media and judging it. And so that was something I had to learn how to heal, is judgment. But what one of my coaches pointed out, she was like, well, Lethea, how are you judging yourself? And so what Vanessa said, going to what Vanessa said, seeing the woman that I want to be, that I want to become, and not judging her so harshly. You know, a lot of that was implanted anyway. So inspired by myself, inspired by the beautiful woman on this call, my daughter who's 16, who sometimes put me in my place. And I'm like, oh, checkmate. Oh, okay. Oh, my daughter just taught me something, right? Just taking all of that to becoming the woman God wants me to be. So.
Woo. Oh my goodness. This is why this is so important, because it really is such a celebration. You know, I have to, of course, add again the women in my family, my mom, my aunt, of course, what I wrote about in my book, you know, the legacy that they left, their strength, their grit. Some of the things I talked about with my mom. And again, kind of like you said, Alethea, you know, when you're young and sometimes you don't always get it right away, but you are really getting these lessons. And I talk about it with my mom. You know, she was a single parent raising my sister and I, and it was tough. But this woman, I mean, she did everything from getting up in the middle of the night to go clean movie theaters to make sure that her babies was going to be fine. And you know, when as at this point in life, when I think about that, is when it really hits me, because she never ever indicated that it was gross or disgusting or a problem. In fact, she made it like it was an adventure. And I'm like, you know, I'm this little thing. My sister was still like, we could still put her like in the little car seat. And my mom was doing that, you know, I mean, just anything that it took to make sure like we were going to be okay. And even though we didn't have a lot, you know, we were poor, we never had anything turned off. We never were on the street. She always made sure that we were good. In fact, we did things like go to Disney World. I still don't know quite how she finagled that, but she had us at Disney World. I mean, she just really, she didn't let her circumstances define her. And that was one of the biggest lessons that have inspired and stay with me today. And you know, I don't often talk about my sister, because my sister, you know, that's, everybody knows that's baby bird and that's my girl. But her determination and her precise intellectual ability to go after goals and accomplish them is just amazing. And her loyalty and unconditional love that she is able to display. And I'm, like I said, I'm doing my very best not to get emotional, but it has truly inspired me. And in many ways, she is the reason why I'm here today, both emotionally and even physically, when I've had some really low depression moments in the past. So, and then from flipping it a bit, you know, a couple of people mentioned Oprah. So what's funny about me and Oprah, I wasn't all that inspired by her growing up. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love the show. You know, I like the show, but I was actually more interested in, I think it was like Ricky Lake and some other ones that was out during that time. I wasn't really like a big Oprah fan. However, as I have become an adult and really gotten into this entrepreneurial world, I have grown to really respect and appreciate her. So many times people are like, girl, you do too much. You do all the things and all that. And I really look to Oprah as that example of a woman who was like, who says I got to stop? Who says I can't be a producer, a TV show host, an author, an actress, a this or that on magazine? Who says I can't do that? Whoever says it, they wrong. So she has definitely been an inspiration for me to continue doing all the things, catch a nap here and there, but do all the things. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. Such feel good moments. Okay. Switching gears a bit. So as we mentioned, there are struggles along the way. And as anyone knows who follows me, follows the work I do, I truly believe in transparency because I think to someone mentioned earlier, we don't always see that on social media, right? It really is a highlight reel. But I want us to just take a moment and talk about a little bit of the challenges in our journey that we've had to overcome, some of those personal challenges that you would like to share, again, as inspiration to show people that, hey, you know what, you can go through some stuff, but you can get through it. So, who would like to share first? Leslie.
For me, it's being new to running a business on social media. Before I was just a consumer, and I had no idea what I was doing when I started this. But the more and more I did it, and the more I was consistent at it, I got better. But social media is a different world. It's a different monster. Sometimes I feel like you gotta attack a lot because the algorithm is different, and people are different, and your network is different, and the hashtags are different. So just being on social media and having my moments of self-doubt. I always get like, oh, well, I don't have as many followers as the next person. Oh, I don't have as many likes, but not comparing myself to others. It's something I had to overcome when I first started this. But just realizing that you got to build each brick one at a time, and that is going to be okay for me.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Who else wants to share?
I can share.
Okay.
So I love the fact that you ladies have called on your village. I love the fact that you ladies have pointed them out because really and truly, it takes more than one person. And it's unfortunate that we put a lot of pressure on one person. But as I think about challenges and I think about where I am right now, it's something I don't talk a lot about is divorce. It's not being a pastor's kid, loving God the way that I do. My name means God's grace. And even being in a place now where I understand and I overstand that transparency really is key. And so there are so many that God would allow us to encounter who have been through what we've been through. And sometimes we hold back because we're afraid of judgment. We're afraid of um, we're afraid of what comes thereafter. And even as we're going through, we're not always sure of how the story ends. But for me, I've gone through my seasons in which I have felt let down. I felt like I wasn't enough. And when choices are made and when we go through situations in which what was once two now become one, and you're left to look at God and say, but what happened here? What about me? And then even in a situation where I am in Virginia, my family's in New York, and I've had to literally figure out how to run a business, how to run a home, how to be a marketing manager, how to show up in a space and be good when you're falling apart. And then to also encourage and empower women when, again, you're falling apart. I've literally had to lean on God and trust him where I can't trace him. And so this has been a season in which I'm reclaiming me. And I'm allowing the world to see in such a way where it comes across as if, you know, if God can do it for me, he can do it for you too, because he is a man of his word. And even though life happens and lemons get thrown and life legit happens, no matter how much, no matter how good you can be, no matter what your circumstances is, life can happen. But yet still, where there's life, there's hope. If you are alive today, there's something great that God has in store, and leaning on God to just show you the way. So all that said, challenges that I've had to overcome is looking at life as it fell apart and having to figure out how to put it back together in such a way where it may be public. Because again, being a pastor's kid, people can see and they wonder, you try to figure out how to address it. You know, what do you do? How do you show up in a space where, again, two is now one and everybody has something to say? But knowing that if God allowed you to get there, he can bring you through it, and there will be glory after this. So I guess where I am now is understanding that even in the midst of what was once upon a time a sad story has now become something so beautiful because God's hand is still in it, and allowing the world to see in such a way where if God, again, can do it for me, he can do it for you as well. So I hope that makes sense. I've actually never said that on a public platform. This is my first time I'm actually saying that word out loud. But I thank you, ladies, for allowing me the space to do it. And I pray that I gave it some justice as I'm still going through.
Yeah, you absolutely did. And I mean, so many things were coming to mind when you were sharing that. And again, thank you for that transparency because there is healing in transparency. And so many people have gone through, are going through exactly what you're talking about. And, you know, when you talk about just the expectations, and I love that you brought that out, because sometimes that becomes the challenge, right? When we are so concerned about having to answer questions and having to explain this and justify that. But like you said, sometimes you just have to leave it with God and let your healing go ahead and do what it's going to do. So I love, love, love what you shared. Thank you so much for sharing that. Love it. All right. Who else?
Well, my goal is to not cry, okay? Mara, I was close. I was really close. that was so honest. It was so honest. You know, it's something, because I've been through divorce myself. And I don't want to say that was the least of the challenges that I've had in my life. But when I look back over my life, I think, okay, well, this one, at least this person's still here. I'm still here. We're just in a different place. And so a lot of what I had to overcome has been things within me. And it's that saving others, putting on my cape, right? And half one shoe half on, one shoe off, right? Skipping around the house trying to put the cape on at the same time so I can go and help somebody else. Self-blame and lack of confidence. And a lot of that, when I spoke earlier, a lot of that, those seeds were planted at a very young age. And what stopped me for many years with addressing that was I didn't know that it mattered. I didn't know that I can speak about it. Because, you know, we're young, we go through that. We're told, you know what, we don't talk about that. That's family business. You don't talk about that. And as you grow older, that becomes a saying, you don't talk about that. Yeah. And so a lot of what I experienced as a child, my first thought was, what did I do wrong? And so for someone on the outside watching this, they may be like, well, lady, how old are you now? Why are you still talking about childhood experiences? But what happens is when we have experiences before a certain age, our brain still hasn't had time to form. And so we have developmental disabilities, and sometimes it's obvious and sometimes it's not. And so just in these years right here, 40 something years old, I'm starting to notice where my stutter comes from. Why I get so emotional sometimes when telling a story. It's not just about being a woman, okay? But it's from a deeper place. Not, you know, public speaking, but then just searching my thoughts, searching for words when I know what word it is, but just not know because I want to sound a certain way. It's rooted in something. And it may take the rest of my life to get there and to figure it out. Or maybe it's not my job to figure it out. Maybe it's my job to thrive and live through it and be an example to women, not by preaching, not necessarily by teaching them directly, by just living and being an example. So you asked the questions, what things have you overcome? Lots. And I won't go in, you know, we don't have time for me to go in. That's each a chapter. That's a book. That's a book. Each experience is a book. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
But what I will say is that it's, you know, out of all the things I've been through, it's just every day, one step at a time. One step at a time. And Amara, like you said, lean not onto your own understanding, but in all your ways, trust in him and he will make your path straight. And that faith is what takes me through. That faith is what wakes me up. And that faith is what makes me, you know, show up as a mom and continue showing up for Alexander Q. And that faith is what's going to take me through the rest of this life.
Woo! Listen, this is exactly what a sister circle is all about. Oh my goodness. And before we go to the next person, I have gotten a couple of messages where people are asking Are we going to be able to say something to you all? We're inspired, encouraged. So we will definitely have towards the end some opportunity for if you have questions or comments, encouragement. In the meantime, whether on Facebook, if you're watching this, or in here on Zoom, you can feel free to even leave your questions or thoughts in the chat as well. Let's keep inspiring and encouraging these women as we are sharing our souls and our experiences. This is awesome. Okay. Thank you so much, Alethea, for again that authentic transparency. I love it. All right, who is next?
You know, I'm sitting here shaking my head like I'm not worthy to be here right now. I'm telling you, I've been blotting my eyes the whole time, right? Because my eyes are watering. It's allergy season. So this can now mask some tears that, she's been doing this the whole time. She's not crying, but, so you can't tell. Look, y'all doing too much today. I can't take it. So I have not experienced some of the things you all spoke about. However, I am empathetic to it and I feel you. Part of a challenge that still exists for me now is calling on my village when I need some assistance. I was always so independent, right? I'm the oldest child. You can't tell if you saw my siblings, but I am the oldest, and that in itself puts so much pressure to be a certain way, right? Growing up, you have to set the example. You cannot mess up. You just have to do certain things so that your younger siblings can have a good example to follow after. So Alethea, I always go back to childhood as well. I like looking at where people fall in the family. I think that means a lot. I also contend with, am I doing too much? I have always been a gigantic thinker. Like above the sky is where I can go. Is where you can go. We all can go above the sky. But the challenge comes into play for me, I think, when am I balancing myself enough? And am I putting too much stock over here in what I want to do and not enough in what my family needs me to do? So that's the challenge I still, sometimes have to deal with. The young ladies that I coach right now, I'm speaking to them like, hey, you guys are so young. Please learn how to take care of yourself, how to believe in yourself, but balance also in such a me first world, how to help others. So the service part and the wanting to do what I want to do part is what I'm still trying to, try to always deal with. But you all, I'm telling you, I'm so glad to be here. I'm happy that you invited me to be part of this. Really, truly, Lita. We have some really good conversations. And inviting me with Amara and Alethea, I've never heard them speak like this. I've heard them speak a little bit, but
yeah.
Thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Ooh, y'all not gonna get me ugly crying, because some of y'all know how that cry gets now. All righty, Vanessa. Are you prepared to share?
Honestly, I think one of the struggles, besides is trying to learn how to run a business without having a blueprint to follow, sometimes it's disappointment. Whether it be disappointment in the people you thought was going to support you, disappointment in not reaching your goal, sometimes even disappointment in yourself. Or just, I think if I could sum it up for the most part, disappointment. You have things that happen in life. You think, I think about, when I lost my mom and how that was a blow. I think about how when people that I entrusted my kids with, how that didn't go well, like, things like that. So I overall say disappointed, because I know, at least for me, sometimes when disappointment hits, sometimes it's a really, really big blow, and then it takes a little while for me to gather myself together to push through. But you keep going, So yeah, I'll say disappointment.
Oh, wow. Wow. I love it. And I'll just add, we all talked about, I mean, there's so many things that we could talk about, right? And in different stages of our lives and all of that. But the thing that I will share for today's conversation, and I've talked about it before, one of the biggest challenges for me is having gone through depression younger, as a teen and all of that. I had adopted depression as part of my identity. And I went through life always saying, I struggle with depression. I struggle with depression. And so my steps went that way. When something happened, if I felt bad, I automatically identified, well, this is me starting depression. And that, at one point I felt good in that I was acknowledging it and, taking ownership and all of that. But it really was paralyzing to wear that label unnecessarily. Really held me back, and it prevented so much growth and healing, because I thought that's who I was, and I owned it. So for me, overcoming that, obviously everybody knows I'm big on therapy, but not just traditional therapy, whether it be coaching, whether it be mentors, whether it be good friends. Have people in your circle that when they share something, you listen, and maybe not always right away, but the people that you trust, because it was rather recent actually when I finally let go of that identity of depression. And when I did that, when I could actually say, I don't suffer with depression. I've had bouts of depression. I've had moments where, yes, things got really, bad for me, but that's not who I am. That's not my identity. Um, just like as a child, as a toddler, there were times when maybe I didn't walk well, or maybe I knocked something over. But do I walk around saying, well, I'm a clumsy person because at four, I knocked something off the table? No, I shed those parts of who I was, right? So the same with depression. There are times and there are situations that are going to bring us down, and we can live with that, and we heal through that, and we deal with it. But when we recognize we don't have to own it and carry it around with us like a backpack, for me, that was one of the biggest challenges. And when I overcame that, things just opened up in amazing ways. Feels good, ladies. I'm telling you, I love, love, love this Sister Circle coffee tea. Okay, switching gears. Let's talk about legacies. So, what does legacy mean to you? And how are you leaving one for future generations? So, what does legacy mean, and how are you leaving one? Leslie.
So I just wanted to mention, I want to piggyback with all the other ladies who talked about depression and anxiety. I used to say a lot of times, I suffer with depression or I suffer with anxieties. But as I'm building my community and I'm trying to overcome the different things that I'm dealing with, I want my children and my grandchildren to say, yeah, she had depression. Yeah, she had anxiety, but she helped herself and other women overcome it. So that's what I want my legacy to be known as, is that, yeah, I had it, but I overcame it and I help others to overcome it too.
Wow. And honestly, because of knowing Leslie and having had conversations where, Leslie, you've said like, oh, I'm nervous about this, or I'm nervous to speak at this thing. And let me tell y'all, this girl shows up no matter what. It doesn't matter. Like she said, maybe she might be feeling nervous, may have anxiety, but honestly, you inspire me, Leslie, because I know, because you've shared with
Thank
me.
you.
Yes. And even as you're sharing now, and you show up and you are determined to not let that be your identity. And I just am so inspired by you. Oh my
Thank you
goodness.
so much.
Okay, next, hurry up, go to somebody else.
That's hard to follow. Leslie, I love that. I love the fact that Lita acknowledged that despite what you've gone through, you keep showing up. That's amazing. That's dope.
Thank you so much.
I honor you for that. As I think about legacy, I think about grace. And the reason I call out grace is primarily because we do a lot of talking about it. We sing a lot about it. I love worship. I love to sing. It's my way of communing with God. It's really intimate. And over my years, I'm only 30, but over my short span of time on this world, in this world, I have seen how oftentimes, I'll use the church as an example, oftentimes people come to church and they feel judged, so they never show up again. And oftentimes when you interact with Christians, you often feel like they are the ones who are looking down upon you, right? And it doesn't feel like it's a safe place. I say that the church should feel like a hospital, and I recognize that even with COVID, we became the church. It was no longer a building that people came to. It was how we show up in a space. And so all that to say, I want my life to be one in which for everyone that I encounter, they feel a sense of love, they feel a sense of purpose, they feel a sense of understanding, that they literally feel God's hand of grace just showing up in their life because I was there. And not to say that there's anything big or special or important about me, but I watch. Good example for me is my father. When people speak of my father is pure love. He just wants to love everybody. He just wants to give to people. He gives the church his cell phone number. I mean, there's not a time where you call Pastor Graham and Pastor Graham is not showing up at the hospital. There's not a time where if you are in need, there are so many families that my family comes in contact with, my father comes in contact with, and there's a need that needs to be supplied. And my father will give his absolute last. And the beauty and the significance of that is that he never goes without. And I remember him actually telling a story, and I won't be long, but I remember him telling a story of a time in which they grew up in Trinidad and he was really poor. And my grandmother had put aside 10 cents to buy some flour. She was going to send one of them to buy some flour with 10 cents. And something happened. I won't say what happened to the 10 cents, but there was only like 3 cents left because someone stole some of the money. Someone took some money to go buy something they should not have, bought. Daddy, please forgive me for telling the story because he's really private. But the significance of it was he said, he watched his mother cry because the money that she had put aside to feed her family, she no longer had. And so he said he stepped outside and he began to weep because he watched his mother cry because she couldn't feed her family. And he said, as he's sitting outside, someone just on their bike, rides by and gives him 25 cents. And he said from that moment, he purposed in his heart that whenever there is a need that he is aware of that needs to be supplied, he would do his absolute best to help. And so he's never told that story in the pulpit. That was a conversation that we had personally. And in my mind, I said, Daddy, I just want to live a life where I'm blessed to be a blessing. We speak about it. We sing about it, but oftentimes we come in contact with people and we don't go the extra mile just to be there, whether or not it's to be a listening ear, whether or not it's just to give a compliment, to say, Queen, you look good today, to say, Queen, I see you, go ahead with your bad self. Oftentimes I feel like if we shine a light on somebody else, it dims our light. But I say all that to say, because I know that, forgive me for taking up so much time, but as far as the life that I live, I really just want people to know God's love for themselves. I want them to understand the nature of his grace. It is sure. It's a compassionate kind of love. And imagine if all of us were to walk around making every person that we encountered feel loved, to feel a sense of compassion, to feel a sense of purpose. To give if there was a need that we knew that needed to be supplied, that we would give and not even think twice about it. Imagine a world where we thought less of ourselves and more of other people, right? And so if my whole life, my purpose is just to prove just how good God is. And I pray that day by day, as even on this panel, as I'm listening to you ladies, I'm just how can I love them? How can I show up? How can I be there? I just pray that through all that I am, people can see and know God's love for themselves, but that they see his grace in a way that they've never seen it before.
Whew. And first of all, do not apologize because listen, that's what this coffee tea chat is all about, taking time and letting us hear everything that is supposed to be said. One of the things that I really appreciate, even though this is a celebration of womanhood, I love that you did bring up your father, because we do have to acknowledge, right, that there are positive men out there that are very encouraging, very influential. And as women, I think it's important that we speak to that, right? Celebrating womanhood and being a strong, powerful woman, being a strong, powerful Black woman does not mean that we have to be independent of the encouragement and support of good men. So I really am so glad that you acknowledge that. I talk about it all the time. There are some amazing men that have supported me and helped me get to where I am. And of course, my amazing husband. So I am so glad that you acknowledge that. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, who is going next? We're talking about legacies. Vanessa.
Um, I want to say that the legacy I want to leave behind is being okay being the matriarch or the patriarch in your family without having to carry that burden. And let me explain. I think about my mom. I think about my grandma. They're all from Trinidad. And over the years, they'll tell you some of the realness of some of the things that happened to them, and for explain to them why they're the way they are. But can you imagine still being that pillar for your family and not have to go through all the burdens they had to go through? Like, you show them a different way to do so. Like, and that's what I want to be able to show for my children. Like, you can still be the person that everybody comes to hold the family together, but you don't have to go through the rapes. You don't have to go through the depression. You don't have to go through all of this. Like, all these, being a matriarch does not mean that you have to have all these wicked things happen to you in order for you. So I would love to be able to leave a legacy where you can still be the pillar of your family, but you don't have to endure all the suffering with it, because you'll learn how to use coping mechanisms to deal with whatever your mental situation is. You'll learn how to speak up about what things, and you're able to just process things a whole lot differently, and you just have a different, family structure. Like, for example, my kids get the privilege of living with both of their parents in the home. That's something I didn't get to do. So it's like little things like that is what I would love my legacy to be.
Woo. That I love that. I love that. Many people know I always talk about generational curses, how I don't really like that term because I feel like it kind of plagues us to feel like we have to repeat certain things. And that's exactly what you're talking about. Like, let's not just own that we're just this generational curse. Like, we can change behaviors, we can create new stories and new narratives. I love it. And you are doing that. You are another one. You are doing it. You're showing up. I love it. Woo! Good, good, good. Okay, who is next?
I was everything that you all are saying, of course, I'm pulling from, because it's how I feel as well. Everything that my great grandparents, my grandparents, and my parents have done, it shows me where I came from. But what they instilled in me lets me know how far I can go and the things that I can do to change some of those things that they experienced. No, I never had to be in a field, you know, picking things. And that's not, I'm not that far removed from it, actually. Most of us aren't. And then talking about, the great men that we've had in our lives, my father, for me, once the pandemic started, I did not realize where my hard determination really came from. It was from him. I noticed about myself, wait a minute, I'm acting like my father. And I love that. I embrace that. I always felt like I'm half my father, half my mother, and as you grow up, and we're getting older, you just figure out, wait, okay, I'm like them in this way and that way. And now for me as a mother, that is of the utmost importance to me, that they also recognize what I've been through, their grandparents, their great grands have gone through, and that they figure out as we raise them up what they want to do with their lives and how they want to carry on. And I think sometimes I didn't even realize how much my children watch everything that we do. everything. That's why I asked them today. I said, well, how would you describe me? And the things that they came up with, I'm like, oh, okay. I just didn't realize maybe you noticed that about me. So, legacy is it's just so important. What can I hand down to them? And like Amara said, those I touch on an everyday basis. I mean, we leave legacy wherever we go. So we got to make sure that we are that pillar that Vanessa, just spoke about, and we are being a good person, and we have a good heart. So it's very important. It's very important.
I love it. I love it. I was also very impressed by what your son said too. That had to make you feel really good. Awesome, awesome. All right, Alethea.
Yes. I'll try to keep this short. So I really had to put some thought into this with the legacy. And I found a quote by Rumi. It says, "Stop the words now, open the window in the center of your chest and let the spirits fly in and out." And this goes back to what every one of these queens have said. Stop the words and show them. They see it. Be the change that you want to see in the world, right? We've heard that in the past, but it's so true. Your kids they're not hearing, they may not seem like they hear, they're listening to all the words that come out of your mouth. But let me tell you something, they're watching. And whether you have kids or not, if you have nieces and nephews, if you have kids that are in the neighborhood who look up to you, if you have good friends, if you have little sisters, as you said earlier, they're not just hearing the words that are coming out of your mouth. They're looking at your actions. They're watching you. They're observing. I have a friend, and something he always says is, "How dare we not?" Mm-hmm. And he's an activist. His name is Vernon, and he's an activist in the neighborhood. And he says that because he's an example. He goes out into the streets. He's mentoring kids. He's making sure they have, programs. They have career-oriented programs in the schools. He's working with the different congressmen, the different senators or representatives right there on the ground floor. And his quote is, "How dare we not do something?" They see it. They see it more than hearing you say it. So when I think of a legacy, I just think about, sis, how you living? How you living? And I don't want to hide my pain from my daughter. I want her to see that I'm human. I want her to see that I'm human, because some of what she goes through, maybe it's hormonal. And I want her to know that it's natural, but it doesn't have to take her out. There's a Buddhist quote, and it says, "Pain is inevitable, but suffering is optional." She's going to encounter it. She's going to encounter it. So I just want to show her what tools she has within her, or that she has to acquire, whether it's a coach or psychiatrist, to make it through. I just want to be it, Lita. I just want to be it.
I know you.
How dare we not?
I know, right? So good.
I think Vernon is on here.
I think
Vernon is
on.
Yeah,
he's on.
Yes. We will now have that. Look, did anyone claim it on a T-shirt? Because y'all know how I do.
I already did.
Oh my goodness, I love it. I love it.
I wrote it down.
You all have shared so many things. I wanted to, in thinking about this particular question, I wanted to share a brief story, and I've shared it with some of you, I think probably even on social media. But again, just going back to a time when, I was down, I was dealing with life changes and all of that. And long story short, I was staying with my mom, and I decided that I was just frustrated. I was just done. I was just like, I can't deal with anything else anymore. That's it. And I just walked out of her house and just started walking. And I was like, I really felt like I was like, this was the end of my road. Like, I'm giving up. I have nothing else to live for. And it was cold. It was like 10:30 at night. So I'm walking, and I end up at this little like restaurant. And I get there, and it was snowy. Like, it was like literally just everything that could be going wrong, right? So it was snowy. So I get to this restaurant, and I realized that I was really cold and tired. And so I go to open the door and the door was locked. They were closing. And I remember there was this bench outside of the restaurant, and I literally just sat on that bench in the snow and just started sobbing. I was like, this is it. This is where it all ends. This is what my life has got to this point where I'm sitting at a restaurant that's closed, that they will not let me in, crying in the snow. And I mean, I remember just feeling so broken and down. And this guy comes out of the restaurant and, he's like, are you okay? And I'm just crying. I can barely even really say what who I am. And he says to me, he says, the restaurant is closed. I can't let you in. I'm sure he probably was like, I don't know who this chick is or what she got going on. But he was like, I can't let you in. And then he looks at me and he says, I just want to tell you, I love you. And you are loved and you are special and valued. Now, this was like a younger white guy. I'm just saying that so y'all really get the full picture here. Like he literally he did not know me. He had nothing to gain. Like he just looked at me and said that. And he said, whatever you're going through, you're going to get through it. Just know you are loved. And he said, do you have a place to go? And I said, yes. I said, my mom is down the street. And he says, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to call a cab. When the cab pulls up, he was like, don't even tell me where you're going. Tell the cab. I will pay for the expenses, whatever. Just be well and know that you are loved. And I will tell you all, in that moment, speaking of legacies, when I talk about the honor, empower, and refresh, when I was really coming up with that moment and that experience is what really stuck with me, because this was a complete stranger. We weren't connected in any way, right? But he took that moment to really say something that was life-changing and pour into me love. And I knew in that as I continued healing, that's what I want to do for other people. And I carry that with me. I don't care if it's a person at the grocery store. I don't care if our interaction is passing each other at the library. I don't care if it's someone that I'm coaching, a friend, whomever. I remember the way that complete stranger made me feel in that moment, who he didn't really know how dark I was, exactly where I was mentally, but he knew that his words could heal. And that has been something, that's what legacy means for me. And that's the legacy that I try to pass on. Let your words, let your actions, let every interaction with someone be something that could potentially heal, because you never know what's going on. So, yes.
Listen. May I interject? I know this is not my show. I know this is not my show. I know it's not. But listen. I gotta have a little comic relief, right?
Come on, girl. Come on with it.
But oh my gosh, I get so full so quickly. I know, I am fully convinced that the vibes I am feeling through this computer are real and true from each and every one of you. Oh my word. You just like when you all are just speaking, I feel it. I'm feeling it through here. And whoever is watching this live now, whoever has joined us on Zoom, whoever watches the replay of it, I know they're going to feel it too. Yeah. I only know a few of you personally, but it's real. And I know that when we leave here, we're going to continue being exactly what we're saying we are every day. And through this community, we're touching and building. And like Vernon says, how dare we not?
You mean how Lita says?
How Lita said, how Alethea said, how Amara said, how Vanessa said, how Leslie said.
There we go. Yes, yes. Yes.
Uh-oh, wait a minute. Check my foundation. Okay,
Oh my goodness.
I'm muting.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Well, before we turn this over to any other questions, comments, we have one last thing that we're going to share, and that is our feel good moment. So, what are you most proud of yourself of? Amara.
I'll go first. So as I shared with you ladies, I'm in a beauty pageant, and the significance of that for me is that I've been body shamed my entire life. I've walked into church and I've had people say, "You're getting fat." Like I've literally, Caribbean family, you know, instead of saying hello, how you doing, they comment on your weight as if I see Vanessa shaking her head. Because it's almost this thing where we feel like, I mean, why do we do that to people? And so unfortunately, I've grown up with this this thing that makes me feel as though not enough. I'm too big. If I lose weight, I'm too small. And so to have the opportunity, and I remember when I was encouraged to be a part of the beauty pageant, and I remember having the conversation with the executive director because they do interviews, and she said, "Well, I think you're going to be a part of the Curve division." And I'm like, "Curve?" You know, so Curve is for a woman who are size 12 to I think it's 22. I'm a size 10 and I'm so proud of it. But I said, Curve, you know, there's some beautiful, thick, I mean, beautiful women. And I'm like, well, I want to be able to represent, you know, correctly. But I know another part of it too, honestly speaking, was the fact that I've been called big my entire life. And I know that there are women who are bigger in size, but to have grown up to feel like for that to just be that thing that people always talk about when they see you, it made me feel again like it was a trigger for me. And so that said, as I thought about it and I was given the opportunity to be a part of it, I began to understand the beauty of the curves. And to now, you know, when people see me and when women see me, and again, to be a part of a beauty pageant where you're being judged on what you look like all the time, they encourage us. It's like, if you're going to do a video, if you're going to do a post, please don't show up. I mean, yes, go to the gym, but at least dab your face so we're not seeing the sweat. You know, like it's a beauty pageant. They want you to look presentable all the time. But I share that to say that something that used to make me feel ashamed and something that people used to make me feel really low about myself is now something that I encourage women to embrace. It literally is, look at me, look at my life, look at my size, embrace your curves, embrace the differences in who you are. You don't have to have straight hair in order to be considered beautiful. You don't have to have a full head of hair. You can have a baldy. Like, at least I love her style. Like, she's so dope. I can see her whole, like, she's beautiful. Like, literally, I'm looking at you ladies and I'm like, wow. Imagine if we really just embrace the beauty of who we said that we were and who God naturally created us to be. So as far as that moment where I felt like something that was negative that turned positive, I'm really proud of myself for stepping out and again, turning that negative narrative into something that encourages and empowers other women to show up as their true selves and to embrace my curves and to be a part of a category that reminds me that I'm beautiful. And it doesn't matter if I'm a size 10, if I'm a size 12, because I've been a size 12 before, I've been a 14. It doesn't matter what size I am, still beautiful. And so are you queens. So that's
That feel good moment felt good for everybody. I love it. Ooh, all right, who's going next? Feel good moment. Leslie.
Okay, so before I get into my feel good moment, I'm going to give you a backstory before we got to the feel good moment. When I started Brown Girls Embrace the Brand, I said I wasn't going to tell my inner circle about it. I was just going to keep it to the people who I met online and keep it between the people who I connected with. But the feel good moment for me is when, of course, the algorithm would tell people, oh, you might know this person. So some of my friends start following me. And the overflow of messages and hearts and comments that I got from my people who are in my inner circles to tell me that I'm proud of you. I love what you're doing. Keep it up. Last summer, I had my first pop-up, and the success I had from the first pop-up was amazing. The workshop's been amazing that I've done with you, even in the last past networking event. So the different things that I've said that I didn't want my inner circles to do, they've been a part of it, and they've been supporting me along the way. And that's a really good feel good moment for me because I thought they was going to be like, oh, that's stupid, that's dumb, but they've been the main ones supporting me. So that was my feel good moment.
That's awesome. Wow, I love it. I love it. All right, give us more feel good moments. Who's next?
I guess
I'll
I'll go.
go.
Oh,
Okay.
go ahead. Go. No, Alethea. Go, girl. Go.
Just have one big one. I am still standing. I'm still standing. My feet, they're on the floor. I can feel the floor beneath my feet. I can clap my hands. I can move a lot. I'm still standing. I'm still standing. Everything that I went through, I'm still standing. And guess what? We are all still standing. And I just had to say that energy just welled up in me just now. Like, these queens are talking about some real stuff. And then you have the guests in the background sharing their thoughts. And guess what? We are still standing. We woke up this morning. Don't you doubt my purpose. I just had to say that. The spirit just, I'm going to go on mute.
Period. Period. Okay. Who's that? Austria?
Let me tell y'all, I probably should have said this earlier. And I know everyone has something to deal with. I did not know I was even going to make it home in time today. I'm telling you.
Wow.
I was broke down for a few hours. An hour away from home today. Lord, the car started. Thank goodness. I made it. My feel-good moment is, of course, being here right now with you incredibly, highly intelligent, beautiful women. That's what makes me feel good. Another thing that I always feel good about, I don't have like one in particular moment, but in the face of adversity, I always remain graceful. I'm proud of myself for that. It does not matter if I am at rock bottom.
Come on.
I am always going to be graceful. That legacy was passed on to me unknowingly until, you start going through things. But like you said earlier, Lita, you don't let your misfortunes define you. So that's what makes me feel good, is that I'm able to remain graceful. And then in turn, I can lend grace to other people who are also going through things. So that's what always makes me feel good.
Whew. I love it. Vanessa.
I'll say that every time Satan tries to end my life with a period, Jehovah continues it with a semicolon. If you understand the significance of that, I'll let let the panel and everybody look that up. But sometimes life makes you feel like you just like, you know what, I'm done, or whatever the case is. But some type of way, you're able to keep going, and then something else pops out. So yeah, so every time you think life is about to end with your period, I love how Jehovah changes it to a semicolon.
And that's on period. I love it. I love it. What I will say, of course, like you all have said, so many feel-good moments. I love, Alethea, what you said about the fact that we are here. And that's even to what Vanessa said. In so many ways, we could not be for a variety of reasons. I think my feel-good moment was something several months ago that I recognized. And, when you've had a journey of surviving abusive situations and overcoming different things, it takes a while to understand some of the behaviors that you're repeating and some of the people, the toxic people that you're bringing in your life, and the consequences that come from that. But a few months ago, I was feeling kind of, I don't own depression. So I was like, okay, I'm feeling kind of weird. I'm feeling kind of whatever. Let me think about what this is. And then it dawned on me and I said, ain't nothing really bad going on in my life. Like, the people who are in nobody's doing me wrong. I don't have to worry about somebody cheating on me. My friends love me and support me. I'm not being abused. Like, to really step in that space. And again, because of my journey, that was a feel-good moment that I am continuing to embrace. I literally have nothing but positive, supportive people and experiences, people who genuinely care for me. And I mean, from my therapist to my mentors to my friends, the men, the women, like that's my feel good moment. And I own that because it's been a journey, and I've worked hard to change who I was so that I could bring the people like that around me. And of course, as to Vanessa's point, truly accepting what God has for me and truly embracing his will for me, and walking in that has done nothing but just again bring all the right people in my circle. And that's my feel good moment, and I love it. I'm so excited about it, as you all can tell, because sis had some challenges in the past, we'll just say that. Yes, well, as we wrap up, this has been amazing. I see some chats here on Zoom. I haven't been able to really check Facebook as much, but I just want to thank each one of you all for being a part of this panel discussion, for sharing yourselves, your stories, for opening up your hearts, and just again loving on people, loving yourselves. And no matter what challenges that you're facing, as it has been said, you're showing up, you're standing, you're here, and you're determined not to give up. So this has been awesome. Continue being the amazing women you are. And I did forget to say what I was. So my mug, let's see, can I? Is one of I'm making her story from my Natural Me brand. And I was actually, I've shared that I'm on this like not kind of natural herb kick. So if I can, y'all know I'm not good at this part, but the teas. Yeah, there we go. So this is the tea that I'm drinking from, what is it, Mountain Rose Herbs herbal tea. It's love tea. So I thought that was so appropriate for the discussion. So thank you all. I see some chats. Does anyone who is here on Zoom, does anyone want to say anything? Any questions for our panelists? Any comments? And I will open up the chat to see what's going on. Oh, we got some awesome things in the chat. Snaps, powerful. The whole panelists feel good. This was uplifting. Thanks for being vulnerable, honest, awesome event. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So I don't see anyone. Hopefully I'm not missing. Look, where's my technical? Where's my tech guy? Awesome. Well, oh, I'm sorry, see, Monique. Yes, you gotta help a sister out. Okay, Monique.
I thought I was gonna have to do a backflip over here, but unsuccessful backflip, but nonetheless, would have got your attention. I think I speak for everyone. Like I've been in the chat. Just thank you. I knew it was coming for women being empowered, and I didn't know it was going to be like this. So I'm blown away, and I want to keep this feeling. I've been taking notes. I want to keep it with me. I want to keep you ladies with me. So to help me with confidence, and to give that. Take this feeling. I wish so many of my girlfriends could have been here. That type of thing. I want to carry this feeling to share, because this has been awesome. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. Okay, let me make sure I'm viewing, since I almost missed Monique. Is there anyone else? You might want to do the little raise hand or something, because as you see, okay, I think we got everybody. All righty. Well, again, thank you all. Thank you those who have watched this. Again, whether you're watching live or on the replay, thank you so much. We will have this also on YouTube, so be on the lookout for that. So you will be able to share it with your girlfriends. And again, just thank you for joining the Coffee Tea Chat, the 2nd annual. And hopefully we'll see you next year for the 3rd annual one. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Yes. Let me show my little bag. Thank you, ladies. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks again, everyone.